The Conquering Fleet. The command bridge of the Krell warship Inevitable Victory hummed with activity as holographic displays flickered between star charts and battle statistics. High Commander Vrax stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow of tactical displays. His vertical pupils dilated with satisfaction as he reviewed the battle reports. The Atorian home system had fallen in just 7 orbital cycles, their crystal cities now reduced to glittering dust. Another glorious victory for the Empire, announced Sub-Commander Zell, her mandibles clicking in the traditional gesture of respect. The last Atorian resistance vessels have been neutralized. Their governing council has transmitted formal surrender terms. Vrax nodded, his ceremonial head crest rising with pride. The Emperor will be pleased. The Atorian's quantum technology will accelerate our warship production threefold. He turned to face the massive viewing portal that dominated the bridge's forward section. Beyond it, the scattered debris of the Atorian defense fleet drifted like metallic snow. Send the integration protocols to the surface. Begin resource extraction immediately. It shall be done, High Commander. Vrax had supervised 17 planetary conquests in his 2-century career, and each had followed the same efficient pattern: identify, assess, approach, overwhelm, and assimilate. The Krell Empire had expanded across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy using this methodical process, absorbing the strengths of each conquered species while eliminating their weaknesses. High Commander, called the communications officer, her exoskeleton twitching with unusual excitement. Our long-range sensors have detected artificial transmissions from Sector 8421, an unexplored region beyond the Cygnus Void. Vrax turned with mild interest. New civilizations were always worth investigating, though most proved disappointingly easy to subjugate. Analysis. The transmissions are primitive, electromagnetic radiation carrying digital information. The civilization appears pre-stellar, though there are indications of rudimentary space exploration within their home system. The signals contain visual and audio data, entertainment, communication, and information storage. Project the source location. The holographic display shifted to show a small yellow star with 8 orbiting planets. The third planet, a blue-green sphere, pulsed with a marker indicating the transmission source. Species designation. Vrax inquired, already calculating jump coordinates in his mind. They call themselves humans or collectively humanity. Their homeworld is designated Earth. They appear to be carbon-based bipeds with limited physical capabilities. No natural defenses, minimal sensory range, and short lifespans of less than a single Krell generation. Vrax's crest flattened with disappointment. Another soft species, hardly worth the fuel expenditure to conquer. Still, the Empire expanded through thoroughness, not selectivity. Tactical assessment. The tactical officer, a grizzled veteran of 30 conquest campaigns, barely glanced at his console before responding. Minimal threat, High Commander. Their weapons utilize chemical propellants and crude atomic fission. No evidence of shield technology, quantum computing, or faster-than-light capabilities. They appear to be divided into competing territorial factions despite sharing a single homeworld. Vrax made the decision instantly. Plot a course. We will investigate this Earth and determine if its resources justify conquest. If nothing else, the species may provide adequate labor for the mining operations in the Atorian system. The Inevitable Victory and its fleet of 20 support vessels adjusted their course, tearing holes in space-time as they entered slipstream travel toward the solar system. The journey would take 30 standard days, time Vrax used to study the intercepted human transmissions more carefully. He found himself simultaneously amused and perplexed by the species. Their entertainment broadcasts showed them engaged in pointless recreational activities and fictional scenarios. Their news transmissions revealed constant conflicts over resources they had in abundance. Their scientific discussions demonstrated a curious mixture of brilliance and blindness, capable of understanding atomic structure, but failing to harness its full potential. Most puzzling were their stories about fictional alien invasions. Humans seemed obsessed with imagining encounters with extraterrestrial life, usually ending with improbable human victories through unexplained courage or determination. Vrax dismissed these as psychological compensation for their obvious physical inadequacies. As species of dreamers, he remarked to his command staff during the final briefing before arrival. They imagine themselves as cosmic heroes while barely managing to reach their own moon. They will surrender quickly once they understand their place in the galactic hierarchy. The Krell fleet dropped out of slipstream at the edge of the solar system, beyond the orbit of the gas giant humans called Neptune. Standard protocol dictated a cautious approach, with scout vessels sent ahead to perform detailed scans and eliminate any early warning systems. The first surprise came when 3 scout ships failed to report back from the asteroid belt. Initial assumptions of navigational errors were discarded when debris fragments were detected on long-range sensors. "Impossible," muttered the tactical officer, his scales flushing with embarrassment. "Their technology should not be capable of detecting our stealth systems, let alone targeting them successfully." Vrax's irritation manifested as a low hiss. "Clearly our intelligence is incomplete. Proceed with caution. Deploy the secondary scout wave with full defensive screens activated." The second wave of scouts reported unusual structures throughout the system. Automated platforms with primitive but functional sensor arrays, small maneuvering craft that appeared to be military in nature, and larger habitation structures orbiting the 3rd, 4th, and 6th planets, as well as several moons. They have expanded beyond their homeworld more extensively than our initial scans indicated, noted Sub-Commander Zell, though their technology remains primitive. "Primitive does not mean harmless," Vrax replied, recalling an ancient Krell military proverb. "Approach the homeworld. Deploy the fleet in standard conquest formation. Let us see how they respond to our presence." The Krell fleet advanced toward Earth in a classic pincer formation, designed to overwhelm planetary defenses from multiple vectors simultaneously. As they passed the orbit of Mars, the humans finally acknowledged their presence with a barrage of transmission attempts across multiple frequencies. "They are requesting communication, High Commander," reported the communications officer. "Their messages follow standard first contact protocols. Greetings, mathematical sequences, requests for peaceful dialogue." Vrax flicked his secondary arms dismissively. Typical behavior from a species facing superior force. "Open a channel. Let us hear their surrender terms before we present our demands." The main view screen activated, showing a human female in a blue uniform adorned with insignia suggesting authority. Her face showed no fear, only a calm determination that Vrax found mildly intriguing. "This is Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. Your vessels have entered sovereign human territory and destroyed unmanned reconnaissance craft. State your intentions immediately." Vrax stepped forward, drawing himself to his full height of nearly 3 meters before responding. "I am High Commander Vrax of the Krell Empire. Your civilization has been identified, assessed, and selected for integration into our domain. Surrender your planetary defense systems and prepare your governing bodies to receive our terms. Resistance will result in significant infrastructure damage and population reduction." The human showed no reaction beyond a slight narrowing of eyes. "The nations of Earth do not recognize your authority, High Commander. We request that you withdraw your vessels immediately. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend our sovereignty if necessary." Vrax had heard similar declarations from dozens of species now extinct or subjugated. "Your defiance is expected but unnecessary. Observe." He nodded to the weapons officer, who targeted one of Earth's larger orbital stations. A lance of coherent energy erupted from the Inevitable Victory's primary cannon, streaking toward the human structure. Vrax expected it to vaporize instantly, demonstrating the futility of resistance. Instead, something unexpected happened. A shimmering distortion appeared before the station, and the energy beam diffracted into dozens of harmless fragments that dissipated into space. Deflector technology. Vrax growled, his crest rising in alarm. Explain. Unknown, High Commander, responded the confused tactical officer. The energy signature does not match any known shield configuration. It appears to be gravitational manipulation. Before Vrax could process this information, multiple smaller vessels emerged from behind Earth's moon, sleek craft with minimal profiles and no visible propulsion systems. They accelerated toward the Krell fleet at speeds that should have been impossible for a pre-FTL civilization. Defensive positions, Vrax ordered, but the human vessels were already launching projectiles, not the crude missiles expected, but sophisticated devices that somehow passed directly through Krell energy shields as if they weren't there. Shield penetration, shouted the defensive systems operator. Unknown technology. Sensors indicate some form of phase-shifted matter. 3 Krell support ships reported critical damage within moments. The human vessels executed maneuvers that defied the tactical computer's prediction algorithms, avoiding return fire with uncanny precision. Vrax slammed a fist onto the command console. Impossible. Their technological level cannot support these capabilities. Admiral Chen's face reappeared on the view screen, her expression unchanged. High Commander, that was a demonstration, not our full capability. We have studied your approach since you entered the Oort cloud. We've analyzed your shield frequencies, propulsion systems, and weapons configurations. We are prepared for this encounter. How? Demanded Vrax, genuine confusion replacing his anger. Your species has barely achieved spaceflight. You made a common mistake, Chen replied. You confuse development path with capability. Humans don't follow the technological progression the Krell expect. We adapt, improvise, and overcome. You should withdraw while that option remains available. Vrax's pride overpowered his tactical sense. The Krell Empire does not retreat. Deploy all battle groups. Commence planetary assault. As the words left his mouth, sensors detected hundreds of additional human vessels emerging from concealed positions throughout the system, from Mars's moons, from the asteroid belt, from Earth's orbital shadow. The elegantly choreographed Krell assault formation began to fracture as human ships attacked from vectors the tactical computers had deemed impossible to access. High Commander, Sub-Commander Zell spoke quietly. I recommend a strategic withdrawal to reassess. Their technology and tactics are unexpected. Vrax watched in disbelief as another support ship reported catastrophic reactor failure. The humans were somehow targeting specific systems with surgical precision rather than attempting to destroy the vessels outright. It was a tactic the Krell had never encountered, efficient, economical, and devastatingly effective. Negative, he hissed. The Krell do not retreat from lesser species. Intensify forward firepower. Launch all fighter squadrons. We will overwhelm them with numbers. But as the battle expanded across the inner solar system, it became increasingly clear that the humans had prepared for this moment thoroughly. Their defensive positions around Earth remained impenetrable, while their smaller, faster vessels continued to harass the Krell fleet with hit-and-run attacks that exploited weaknesses the Krell didn't know they had. When the inevitable victory's primary power core began fluctuating after a particularly bold attack run by 3 human vessels, Vrax finally accepted the unthinkable. Order all ships to disengage and regroup at the system's edge, he commanded, his voice hollow. We require tactical reconsideration. As the damaged Krell fleet limped away from Earth, Vrax stared at the blue-green planet on the view screen, his mind struggling to comprehend what had happened. For the first time in his career, the pattern had failed. Identify, assess, approach, overwhelm, assimilate, but the overwhelm phase had somehow reversed. Begin comprehensive analysis of all battle data, he ordered. I want to know exactly what we're facing. The answer, though he did not yet realize it, was simple and terrifying. Humanity. The human factor. Aboard the inevitable victory, now positioned in the cold darkness beyond Pluto's orbit, High Commander Vrax reviewed the battle analysis for the 7th time. The holographic display showed simulation after simulation, each attempting to explain how a pre-FTL civilization had managed to repel the galaxy's most formidable military force. "The report makes no sense," he growled, pacing the command deck while his staff officers maintained a respectful distance. "Their technology is a patchwork of innovations that shouldn't function together. Their tactical decisions defied established military doctrine. Even their communication protocols shifted constantly during the engagement." Sub-Commander Zell, whose analytical mind had saved the fleet from total destruction by recommending the retreat Vrax had initially rejected, stepped forward. "I believe I've identified a pattern, High Commander. It's not in their technology, but in their behavior." She activated a separate display showing intercepted human communications during the battle. "Listen to these exchanges." The audio played snippets of human commanders rapidly adapting to Krell countermeasures, sharing observations, proposing impromptu solutions, and implementing them without lengthy approval protocols. One exchange particularly captured Vrax's attention. "The phase inverters aren't penetrating their secondary hulls, Admiral. Reroute power through the graviton emitters first. Create a localized distortion before firing." That's not in the standard sequence. The systems weren't designed to work that way. "Do it anyway. Engineering can fix the burnout later if it works." "Their command structure is fluid," Zell observed. "They improvise constantly, modifying both tactics and technology during combat." Vrax's crest flattened with irritation. Such disorder should be their weakness, not their strength. "In any other species we've encountered, yes," Zell agreed. "But humans appear to thrive in chaos. They expect systems to fail and prepare accordingly. Our tactic of targeting their communication networks actually increased their autonomy and adaptability." The tactical officer, still humiliated by his inaccurate initial assessment, added, "They also employed technologies developed by different factions of their species, combining them in ways the original developers likely never intended." Vrax absorbed this information with growing unease. The Krell conquered through superior organization, technology, and unity of purpose. Their strength came from conformity and precision. Humans seemed to operate on entirely different principles that made no logical sense yet had proven devastatingly effective. "We must adapt our approach," he finally declared. "If humans thrive on disorder, we will impose order through overwhelming force. Recall all available battle groups from nearby sectors. We will return with a fleet 5 times larger." Over the next 60 days, Krell reinforcements arrived from throughout the Empire. Vrax's new fleet grew to over 100 capital ships, with thousands of support vessels, the largest concentration of Krell military power ever assembled for a single conquest. Yet during this same period, human activity throughout the solar system increased exponentially. New defensive installations appeared daily. Their ships' energy signatures evolved, suggesting rapid technological iteration. Most concerning were the quantum fluctuations detected near Mars, indicating they might be developing slitstream capability far sooner than any species the Krell had previously encountered. "They're preparing for our return," Zell noted during the final strategy session. "And they're learning at an unprecedented rate. Every day we delay gives them more time to adapt." "Then we wait no longer," Vrax declared. "Deploy the fleet in maximum dispersal formation. We will attack from all vectors simultaneously, overwhelming their sensor networks and defensive positions before they can coordinate a response." The second Krell assault began with an overwhelming barrage of energy weapons fire from beyond lunar orbit, enough firepower to reduce Earth's surface to molten slag. But once again, the humans had prepared. Massive gravitational distortion fields bloomed around the planet, bending the incoming energy into harmless trajectories away from the atmosphere. "How?" Vrax demanded, watching his supposedly unstoppable attack dissipate. "They couldn't have developed this technology so quickly. Intercepted communications suggest they adapted it from research already underway before our arrival," reported the intelligence officer. Something called the Einstein-Rosen Bridge Project that they repurposed for planetary defense. Before Vrax could respond, human ships emerged from concealed positions throughout the system, far more numerous than in the previous engagement and employing technologies that hadn't existed 2 months earlier. They moved in seemingly random patterns that nonetheless displayed an uncanny coordination, hitting multiple Krell vessels simultaneously before regrouping in unpredictable formations. They're not fighting according to any recognizable doctrine, the tactical officer observed with professional admiration despite the situation. Each ship commander appears to be improvising, yet they're not interfering with each other. Vrax ordered a shift to secondary attack protocols, targeting Earth's orbital infrastructure instead of the planet itself. Krell destroyers launched waves of automated strike craft toward the human space stations and satellites. This time, however, the stations themselves began to move, using previously undetected propulsion systems to avoid incoming fire while maintaining their defensive coverage of Earth. High Commander, Sub-Commander Zell's voice carried an unfamiliar edge of concern. We're detecting unusual energy signatures near the inner planets. They appear to be opening slipstream portals. Impossible. Vrax roared. They can't have mastered that technology. The tactical display confirmed Zell's observation. Multiple localized ruptures in space-time were forming throughout the system, crude by Krell standards, but functional nonetheless. Through these portals emerged new human vessels of a design unlike anything they'd fielded previously, larger, more angular, with pulsing energy signatures that suggested immense power generation. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the communication screen, now wearing a different uniform with additional insignia. High Commander Vrax, I see you've returned with reinforcements. So have we. The new human vessels moved with extraordinary precision, targeting specifically the command and control systems of Krell capital ships. They employed weapons that somehow bypassed Krell defensive screens entirely, technology that should have been centuries beyond human development. Their rate of technological advancement is impossible, Vrax insisted, watching another battle group report critical systems failure. No species progresses this rapidly. They're not developing new technology, Zell observed, reviewing sensor data. They're recombining existing technologies in novel ways and applying theoretical concepts they already understood but hadn't implemented. Our attack accelerated their innovation cycle by providing both necessity and direct observation of advanced principles in action. A massive explosion rocked the inevitable victory as a human stealth craft somehow penetrated the flagship's defensive perimeter and delivered a precision strike against its secondary power core. Backup systems engaged immediately, but the damage was done. The mighty vessel's offensive capability was reduced by 60%. Status report, Vrax demanded. 38 capital ships severely damaged or disabled. The tactical officer responded, his voice hollow. Human forces are concentrating on our command vessels while allowing support ships to retreat. They appear to be offering us a withdrawal path. Vrax's pride warred with his tactical training. The Krell Empire had never retreated from a conquest in its 1,000-year history, yet continuing this battle would result in the loss of a significant percentage of the Empire's total military strength, all to a species that by any reasonable assessment should have been easily conquered. High Commander, Zell spoke quietly, I believe this engagement has revealed something significant about humans that our initial assessment missed. They possess a quality I can only describe as adaptive intelligence under pressure. The more we threaten them, the more rapidly they evolve countermeasures. You suggest we cannot defeat them. Vrax's voice carried dangerous undertones. I suggest that conquering them would require resources beyond what the Empire can sustainably commit, Zell replied carefully, and that even if successful, integration would be problematic given their unpredictable nature. Another human ship penetrated the fleet's defensive formation, executing maneuvers that Krell tactical computers classified as physically impossible, before striking 3 destroyers simultaneously with weapons that somehow phased directly through their hulls to target specific internal systems. Vrax watched the battle unfold with growing comprehension. The humans weren't fighting to destroy the Krull fleet. They were fighting to demonstrate that they could not be conquered at an acceptable cost. It was a sophisticated strategy that recognized the political and resource limitations of even an interstellar empire. "Open a channel to Admiral Chen," he finally ordered. Her face appeared almost immediately, suggesting she had been waiting for his call. "High Commander, your species fights with unexpected effectiveness," Vrax stated, careful to maintain his dignity despite the circumstances. "The Krell Empire recognizes that continued conflict would be unnecessarily costly to both our civilizations." Chen's expression remained neutral. "Are you proposing a cessation of hostilities?" "I am proposing a strategic reassessment," Vrax replied. "The Krell Empire wishes to establish diplomatic relations with Earth to explore alternatives to traditional integration protocols." A slight smile appeared on the human's face. "We would welcome diplomatic engagement, High Commander. Perhaps we can begin by establishing a neutral meeting location. We have facilities in the asteroid belt that could be adapted for interspecies conferences." Vrax recognized the offer for what it was, a graceful way to end the conflict while allowing the Krell to save face. "Acceptable. I will dispatch diplomatic representatives once our fleet has withdrawn to a non-confrontational distance." "We look forward to peaceful dialogue," Chen replied. "Earth out." As the communication ended, Vrax turned to his command staff. "Order all vessels to disengage and regroup beyond the system boundary. Prepare a comprehensive report for the Emperor." "What will you tell the Imperial Court?" Zell asked quietly as the other officers carried out their orders. Vrax stared at the view screen, where the blue-green planet still hung against the blackness of space, small, seemingly insignificant, yet defended by beings whose capabilities defied conventional assessment. "The truth," he replied, "that we have encountered a species unlike any in our experience, one that does not follow the expected path of technological or social development, one that becomes more dangerous when threatened rather than less." "And your recommendation regarding future dealings with Earth?" Vrax's 4 hands clasped behind his back as he contemplated the question. "That the Empire would be wise to consider humans as potential allies rather than subjects. Their chaotic innovation might prove valuable against threats even the Krell have failed to overcome." As the damaged Krell fleet limped away from the solar system, Vrax found himself experiencing an unfamiliar emotion. Curiosity about what might have happened had the Krell succeeded in conquering Earth. Would humans have ultimately assimilated the Empire rather than the reverse? It was an unsettling thought, and one he decided not to include in his report to the Emperor. In the vast darkness between stars, the remnants of the most powerful armada ever assembled by the Krell Empire retreated from a single planetary system inhabited by bipedal mammals who, just a century earlier, had barely mastered powered flight. The galaxy had become a more interesting place.